pusher. Yeah, everybody's a pusher.
Everyone. Everybody wants us to do these weird comic books.
I know. They want us to do these weird comic books, and if they can find stuff, they're going to send it to us, and, you know.
Well, we have Captain America, number 378.
Ooh, yeah. The final issue in this Streets of Poison run.
Do you think that poison splatters like this?
I mean, it depends on what kind of poison it is, but I'm sure a poison can splatter.
I mean, honestly, in the Streets of Poison logo, which I haven't critiqued so far, I feel like the streets of New York would be the ones that are all splattered and potholed like that, and poison would be much cleaner.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I wonder, like, I don't know, if we sent this logo to Todd Klein, what he would say about it.
To get a real eye on it and see.
Yeah. By the way, if you don't follow Todd Klein on Facebook, where he posts like logos all the time and critiques them, explains their entire origin, you are not a true comic book nerd. Like, that just is it. Like, you've got to follow. I mean, he just posts logos all the time, and it's insane, and talks about lettering. Like, it's the most amazing thing ever. But Streets of Poison, of course, gets over the Captain America logo, and the shield's over the Captain America logo. So really, this is Cap Aim. 78. Cap Aim. Cap Aim. There's no R there. The R
because he's aiming that fist right at Crossbones' face.
Yeah, and I'm so excited to see more Crossbones on the cover. It's the exact character I wanted more of in this story.
You got it.
All right. Well, we've got Crossbones and Captain America. It looks like they're fighting in the Puyallup High School basketball arena.
It does.
And we've got Ron Lim and Dan Bulanadi right there on the cover. That's exciting. Look, he even cited Ron Lim 90. So we know what year it is. And
is that
it's
when they graduated from Puyallup High School?
Maybe. Entirely possible. If you don't know where Puyallup is, folks, look it up. It's a very famous place. It's home of the fair.
The fair and the dad from A Christmas Story.
And the quarterback who forgot his plays in the NFL and had to go into a game.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Billy Joe Hobart.
Yeah.
And the Heward brothers.
Yes.
Damon and Brock. Yes. But they moved from Ording to Puyallup to go to high school to play for their dad, right? Because their dad came from Ording. So
yeah.
Are they really from Puyallup, or are they from Ording?
I think they grew up in Ording and played in Puyallup.
Well, there you go. See, so they're from Ording. They're not from Puyallup.
I mean, they did win the Gatorade Challenge.
It's fair. Well, anyway, enough about Puyallup, the wonderful city that it is, home of the daffodil and the daffodil parade. We've got
all the berries.
I think the berries are now covered up by like a Fred Meyer warehouse or something.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we've got Captain America Streets of Poison, and we got a giant fight scene. As you can tell, like last issue, we're super interested in talking about this issue based on the banner we're having at the start of this conversation. And you're super excited by learning about technically not our hometown because we grew up in the county, but, you know, the hometown of Greg and Dan. But not our hometown because we didn't have a town.
I know.
We were townless.
Pierce County.
Cityless. Yeah. It's a very exciting place. Rural, not even rural anymore. But anyway, Steve Rogers, born in the USA, raised to cherish the ideals of democracy, endowed with a superhuman physique, and not so much anymore, and driven to be the most capable combatant in the world, and not so much anymore. Now, as both lone crusader and leader of the renowned Avengers, I guess, he fights an ongoing battle for liberty, justice, and the American dream. Stan Lee presents Captain America. Now, if he was really fighting for liberty, justice, and the American dream, wouldn't he be supporting these entrepreneurial drug dealers that just wanted to sell their stuff on the street?
Yeah, I mean,
That is the American dream.
I mean, they are businessmen. They are entrepreneurs. But then it's the product, right? It comes down to the product that they're selling. If they're selling watches, video cassettes that were bootlegged and stuff like that, it might be different.
Oh, so if you're selling illegal bootlegged items, that's okay. But if you're selling illegal drugs, that's not okay.
I think there's a line.
Well, anyway, we are in the Upper East Side of Manhattan, and Cap is flying his super
Sky
Cycle. Sorry, yeah, whatever it's called. We've got a very Kirby-esque background going on here.
I know, it's popping.
It's interesting, and we've got, well, he's just sky cycling, and the title of the story is called Grandstand Play, which is a lot less problematic than the title of last issue.
Yeah, this is very, very.
And there was a grandstand on the cover, so
yeah.
Perhaps there's going to be something to do with grandstands. We remember the Yankees were being defeated 21-0 yesterday.
Yeah.
Last podcast, whatever I'm talking about. I don't know at this point.
The last time we talked.
I have too much meth in my system to really know what's going on.
Oh God. Are you Captain America? Or are you just hanging out in Tacoma?
Yeah, I mean, just an explosion happened and some just wafted my way, and I was just like, just wanted to get that into my system for this podcast. This is how I stay awake.
Oh, Dan.
I'm a little twitchy right now, but it's all good. So,
County.
Yeah, it's my home. So now we get a giant splash page of Captain America at the top. And some Kingpin and Red Skull at the bottom. And first off, I would like to say that Kingpin looks like he might be dressed like you in 1990.
Uh-huh.
And Red Skull looks like he might be dressed like Dan. Well, not 1990. We're going to say 93 to 95 when we were debating, debaters. Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the college. But, classics right there. So I could totally see you going for that big white jacket.
Oh, totally.
And I would have I had that trench coat.
You wear the vest underneath and everything. Skinny tie.
I don't know if I'd had the vest, but I would have definitely had the tie and the shirt. It's, with no actual suit jacket, right? And that's because that's literally what I had. I had the trench coat and no suit jacket for a long time.
Yeah.
Until our mentor took me to Goodwill and bought me a blue blazer for $5. So I have a suit jacket. Well, anyway, we've got Cap at the top thinking, still not sure, thinking straight. But I guess that's a good sign. A few days ago, my head was a total mess, and I hadn't the slightest doubt about my sanity. What?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
He doesn't have his head screwed on correct,
Well, anyway, he's like, I'm here to break up a drug ring I recently stumbled upon, which has introduced the new designer drug ice into the marketplace. We're getting a recap, which is good because the other 7 books didn't, do enough for us.
If you just picked up this book, you're all caught up.
Yeah, I guess the 6 Captain America books and 1 Daredevil book, right? This is technically number 8, but it's number 7, but it's number 8, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay. Well, anyway. Captain America finishes his thoughts by saying, so now what I need to know, can I still be Captain America without the serum? Or is Cap simply a product of a World War II wonder drug? God. Right, because steroids and meth, totally equivalent.
Well, not equivalent, but I mean, the idea has been put in his head that he is the creation of a drug, and if it wasn't for the drug, he wouldn't be who he is. But he's battling he's having this inner dialogue and this inner turmoil through these books in which he's trying to figure out, is it the drugs or is it me? Was I always who I am? Could I be the me that I am, that I know that I am, the strong will
that I am that I am?
That I am, that I am.
That I are, that I are.
Yeah, he's going to eat his spinach and pull a Popeye. But, I mean, he's been dealing with this for, 6 issues now, 7 issues. and it's been eating away at him since that very first interaction with his friend in the shop, who was like, hey, you know, what's the difference between me doing a little smoke here and you on the Captain America serum, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And he just realized this after years that this might be a thing.
Yeah. Well,
he's never known before that a super serum gave him his.
He was pumped up with patriotism, fighting a war. He didn't have time to stop and think. He was also very young when this happened. So I'm just putting it into that context, that 18-year-old brain and mentality, or 17-year-old brain and mentality. I mean, he's pretty young. You know, he went into it. He wasn't fully formed in his full frontal lobe. He didn't have all that processing power that we have when we become fully formed adults. Now he's an adult after he's thawed out and he's fully functioning and he's clear-headed, or slightly clear-headed. He's thinking these things, Dan. He's coming to terms.
Boy, it's fun. Well, down at the bottom of the page.
You're like, screw you, dude. I hate you.
Boy, this is fun. So down at the bottom of the page, Yankee Stadium, the Bronx, we've got Red Skull and Kingpin squaring off with their gangs to have a turf war discussion. And Red Skull's like, you are interested in protecting your turf and keeping control of New York's drug trade. I'm interested in moving on to your turf and establishing a beachhead in this city, the nation's largest. And correct me if I'm wrong, but LA was definitely the nation's largest city at this point, right?
I think it probably is, but I think iconically speaking, New York is in the eyes of the superhero world. New York is the place that never sleeps. New York is the place where it all happens. New York.
Well, in New York, of course, we have the Kingpin, and the Kingpin is like, yeah, fuck you, Nazi. I'm not doing business with you. And says, despite your recent assumptions of the veneer of a capitalist, you still have the heart of a Nazi, and there can be no cooperation between us. So, yeah, I appreciate it. At least, you know, what we should learn from these issues of Captain America is that if you wear Captain America colors, you probably should hate fucking Nazis.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying.
I mean, Kingpin's got...
In a hypothetical world where Nazis would wear Captain America colors, I would just think that, like, they should learn from the Captain America books.
You would think.
I mean, one would think.
One would think. Hey, anyway, when Kingpin's got better morals...
Yeah, Kingpin has better morals than certain people in society right now. There we go.
When his moral compass is stronger, I think we might have a problem, America.
But apparently over in Spider-Man, they're fighting over the drug war too, so maybe we should read those.
We should be reading some Spider-Man.
But anyway, they're having a nice gentlemanly conversation here. It's great. We turn the page and we get some more dialogue. Basically what you have is a little tiny bit of art on the page and then words just filling up like the entire page. The last 3 pages are just so, like, if I was reading this when I was younger, when this came out, I would have shut down. I literally would have shut down. I almost did reading it now because I got new glasses, and these glasses, I'm not used to them yet. And me trying to read this was like headache machine because many words. It's also just boring. What? No, there's so much beautiful. I believe America to be a weak, morally bankrupt country whose societal underpinnings are being eaten away. It is my goal to speed up that process. Drugs are the one means to achieve this. He's not wrong. No, he is wrong, actually. It's not the one means. Trust me. Remember, we were talking about those people that wear Captain America's colors. So Anyway, he wants corruption and violent crime, and Kingpin is sticking up for America. No, Skull, I'm making America stronger. Drugs at their highest degree of ubiquitousness will only saturate society so far, corrupting the corruptible, preying on the weak. I will make America stronger. Well, he sounds like a Nazi now, so okay.
I mean, he just wants to he wants to clean up the streets in a different kind of way.
Yeah, like there's a reason in pro wrestling why you don't have two bad guys come out and cut promos against each other.
Because it's the same thing.
Yes, they're saying we don't like either of them. Like, woo, this is fun. I have to choose. Oh, gosh, who do I want to win the fight between the Nazi and the gang lord?
Yeah, it's a it's a coin toss that nobody wants to win.
Yay. Loving this. I can't express to you how much I love this story.
I told you, I mean, that's why it's so good, because it's the end. It's the final issue.
Because it's the end.
It ties it all up in a nice hefty sack at the end. I mean,
can we get to the end so I can see how Star Battle is doing?
Yeah, we can. I mean, want to just like jump forward. I mean, we have to for the fans out there. Okay, for the listeners.
Okay. For the one listener, we got this. Okay, we got this.
We got 4 listeners, Dan.
Oh, my bad. For the 4 listeners, we've got this for you. Well, anyway, Captain America is still up at the sky, and he's like, New York's a big place. Don't know who's behind the incursion of ice into the city. Well, he's the last one to know. He was in the freaking warehouses. He's been being attacked by people. Like, he scoured the entire city high on meth looking for everybody, but he still hasn't figured it out. Clearly that shit was messing with his head, but, no stone was unturned. Meanwhile, at Yankee Stadium, we have the Kingpin and Red Skull playing really strip poker.
Because I would have thought that he would have figured it out by now. I mean, I've been to the Brown Bear car wash late at night. I've seen people cleaning their cars. I know that they're a little tilted, and I mean, when they're cleaning their car with a Q-tip and a toothpick, they're not going to leave any stone unturned. They're going to find something.
Well, they did. I mean, he's got to go to Yankee Stadium and find naked Kingpin and naked Red Skull.
Yeah, that's true.
Because we're going to strip down to our underwear here for a big fight.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best way to fight is to get into your nakedness.
Yeah, like, how did this start it again? When we have stripped for combat, we will be thoroughly searched for concealed weapons. Like, What the fuck is happening? And Kingpin's like, this is okay. Thank you. This is lunacy, but it may be the most expedient manner of dealing with this archfiend. What are we talking? If it's lunacy, just shoot him in the head and be done with it.
Yeah.
What? I'm going to watch a wrestling match now between Kingpin and Red Skull, and they're just going to randomly have... And by the way, we're talking about just plot. There is nothing building up to this ever anywhere at all.
Yeah, that's true. It just kind of jumps right into it. It's like, oh, hey, we're going to watch Butterbean beat up on Hoist Gracie.
Butterbean cannot beat up on Hoist Gracie.
I know he can't, but I mean...
that wouldn't happen. First off, Hoist Gracie wouldn't have been so stupid to start with a kick. Against Butterbean. We can make fun of the Gracies if we want, but good God, Butterbean, really? Like,
I mean, I was just going size wise.
This would be more like who was the Akibono?
Akibono
versus Hoist Gracie.
Okay, fair.
He does look like Butterbean, though. You're not.
He does look like Butterbean. When he's stripped down, he's just standing there with his hands up.
Well, anyway, we get a fight, and of course, the Red Skull starts immediately by cheating.
That's true. He's got a thing in his foot.
He puts them in a plastic dome. I guess that's sort of cheating. Like, he changed the venue, but now it's just them fighting. Okay, this is exciting. And we have kicks, punches, Kicks, punches and dialogue.
Kicks, punches. Kick, punch. It's all in the mind.
They're basically just taunting each other. And the Kingpin's doing his best nothing can stop the blob routine.
Yes.
Or Juggernaut. I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah, it's very Juggernaut-ish.
Well, then we turn the page, and now we get to Avengers headquarters. And we have Diamondback looking out for John and Dr. Pym.
No.
And they're like, what do we do? And she's like, Captain America's gone. And they're like, okay, let's go find him. And awesome. Well, then we get back to the fight. Fight's happening, and everybody's like, yeah, fight, woohoo, woo. And then Crossbones is like, oh man, if he'd asked my opinion, I'd have told him it was too soon after he nearly died of starvation to fight. Oh, I got to keep an eye on the boss. He tells his buddy to keep an eye on the boss. He's got to go check something out. He's like, last thing we need is sound effects.
But they make it so much better.
No, they don't.
Yes,
so
you do.
Then we find Captain America on the roof. He's managed to find it, and we get now a random fight just starts between Crossbones and Captain America.
Cap has to prove
did they
his
actually
might.
meet each other?
Trying to think. Did they meet each other?
Crossbones beat up Daredevil,
and
he beat up Bullseye and got.
Yeah, I don't know.
Eye.
I don't know if they actually fought. Now that I think about it, it's been a minute. I think he might know that he's there, but I don't think he I think.
Well, there's some epic dialogue on this page.
I think they've met before. Yeah.
Have they? Okay. Well, there's some epic dialogue on this page we don't want to miss out on. Crossbone says, "You want to show me your ticket for the sporting event, Patriot Puss, or are you gate crashing?" I guess Patriot Puss, not Puss. I don't care. And Captain America's response is, "Show you mine if you show me yours." I thought that's what they were doing in the stadium.
Right? I know. Show and tell down there.
Yeah. So why are we doing that at the top too? Well, now just a random fight starts between Captain America and Crossbones. Now, I would like to point out that Crossbones has shown his greatest success when he's shooting his weapons in all of his pouches.
Yes.
But now the mighty luchador Bane Crossbones, Sad Lobo, is now fighting. No, I don't want to talk about Lobo today. So
okay. He's fighting hand to hand.
That does make me sad.
Okay, yes.
So it will now be Crossbones and Captain America fighting, and basically it's dialogue banter while they fight, and then down below we have dialogue banter while the two bad guys are fighting, and Kingpin's like, "I'm gonna show you, tedious Nazi, prancing Nazi, how an American fights." Oh, so now we're getting some subtle homophobia. Awesome. It just makes these books better.
Yeah. No.
Fat shaming, homophobia, it's all good. They're bad guys, right?
No.
Oh, yeah. Well, anyway, we keep getting the fight is still going on. I have no idea what page we are on because, like Starlight, there are no page numbers in this book.
We took notes from good books like this with no page numbers, and we want to emulate such a greatness in a nice 7-issue run such as this, just like in Starlight. Moving forward.
Well, I'd like to point out that Bane without drugs is fighting Captain America without drugs, which probably makes it a fairer fight, right?
Yeah, fair fight. Just, two non-drugged up dudes fisticuffing.
And they're still fighting, and they're fighting on the stands now, and now we're down below, and Kingpin is yelling.
Yeah!
And And the Red Skull's like, did that hurt, fat man? He's like, I'm simply yawning. So we still have banter going on. Then emulating the Great Gorilla Monsoon, he puts the Red Skull in a bear hug. So good, smart to emulate Gorilla Monsoon, of course. Wrestled for the WWF in New York, right? So it makes sense. We've even got it. We got a nice bear hug going on. And then he squishes the Red Skull. And now in the grandstand, we still have the fight going on between Captain America, and Captain America kicks a Ginsu knife. He's saying he has a Ginsu knife.
I can't.
Seriously? All right. Okay. God.
Maybe?
Can I I just can't.
Because it slices and it dices.
I just can't.
Straight out of a commercial.
Yeah, I just can't. Well, anyway, Captain America grabs the tie to his mask, which is fantastic, and hits him in the throat, and it's all done. And then Captain America, of course, says, I've done it. I've beaten him without the super soldier serum, with only my fists and guts and know-how. I've beaten a rough customer, as rough a customer as any I've ever tangled with. He's claiming that this guy is as rough a customer as he's ever tangled with. Shut up. Okay, sure. And then he's like, then I've proven it. I can be Captain America without the drug. Now, last issue, he says, I'll be safe because that drug I will still have all my muscles from the drugs for several months.
Yeah.
So this is stupid. And again, a good editor, not named Ralph Machio, might have, caught that and said, oh, maybe you should adjust that dialogue, because literally in the last 2 pages of the previous issue, Captain America's like, I'm going to go out and do this because I'm still going to have my muscles for a while.
Yeah, yeah.
And now he's like, I did it without the serum. Look at me. I'm amazing. Either Captain America is just fucking delusional.
Maybe.
Or it's just a really badly edited comic book.
Probably both. I mean,
well, now we get back down to the battle with the Red Skull, and it looks like kind of awesome that he's about to have his eyes torn out of his sockets by Kingpin. That'd be Red Skull. And then he says, yes, you win, bloated pig. Thoroughly illustrating that the, very fit Red Skull got the shit beat out of him by the much larger man, which also doesn't surprise me. I mean, Red Skull looks like he's fighting middleweight, and, he's trying to fight a super heavyweight, which always goes well for the middleweight. That's
outsized.
Do you remember that boxer Greg Haugen from Auburn? He's a lightweight, I think. He was the world lightweight champion or something like that when we were in junior high.
Okay.
Chris McCafferty told me once that he was in a bar and got the shit beat out of him because he picked a fight with a bunch of dudes that weighed over 200 pounds.
Oh, geez.
In Auburn, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, well, it's all good. We keep going like this, and the Red Skull's like, you won, and then the dome disintegrates, and the Red Skull leaves, and he's like, I'll be in touch with the terms of our settlement. Count on it, criminal. And yay. Okay, so in the fight, nobody wanted to see.
In neither fight, nobody wanted to see.
Kingpin won, and the other fight, nobody wanted to see. Captain America won.
Man.
So now, of course, Captain America goes down to square off with the Kingpin and end him forever. Because, of course, he can still do it without his super soldier serum.
Right. Just two men fighting. He just did it up in the risers.
And we get Kingpin saying, for reasons all of his own, that Nazi foe of yours forced me into personal combat. I won. New York City owes me a debt of gratitude, Captain. I've saved it from the madman's depredations. And then Captain America fires back, I'll see to it they make you a blimp in the Thanksgiving Day parade. So we're still on that. So great.
Yeah.
And then Captain America is like, the gang war's over, but he's as for America's drug crisis, I only wish I knew how it will turn out. I thought he was completely dedicated to ending. I mean, didn't we just spend? Wasn't it the entire point of this entire run of issues is that Captain America was completely dedicated to ending the scourge of drugs?
Yes, but it didn't happen.
So I heard something, by the way. We're in the next panel, and he grabs Diamond back and gives her a hug, and there's John and Hank Pym, the wife beater, and hey, as long as we're just getting it all out there.
No, getting out there, yeah.
And like
problematic Hank Pym.
And well, they're gonna do a movie about him later where everything's fine.
Yeah.
It's like it never happened.
Right.
Anyway,
these things in these comic books that.
Or it was just a terrible storyline written by a terrible author, and we can wipe that from history and just remember the character for what he was all the other times.
Oh, yeah.
Could do that, too. But anyway, there's John Jameson, too. Now, these Avengers jackets, I haven't pulled up a copy of the Avengers from 1990, but it is my understanding that the Avengers were, in fact, wearing these jackets.
Oh, okay.
Not just the Avengers support squad.
Everybody was wearing a team jacket.
Yeah, everybody's kung fu fighting with their pouches and jackets.
Cool.
It's the 90s, so you have to have pouches and jackets now.
Interesting.
So anyway, we've got Hank Pym. He said, I've laundered your blood, filtered out all of the ice molecules without affecting the super soldier serum. Now all we have to do is give you another transfusion. And he's like, I appreciate your efforts, Henry. I found out, by the way, this always annoyed me when they would call him like Henry, because it's like too much Henry Gyrich from X-Men. So keep it Hank, keep one Hank, and keep one Henry. And you've got
Hank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and you've got Beast too.
Yeah.
But they look different.
Very different.
Anyway,
one's big and one's small.
So Captain America's like, I appreciate your efforts, but I don't need it. Perhaps I once did to give my non-athletic body what nature did not, but that was a long time ago. Now I am what I am without the drugs in my veins. So this asshole is John fucking Jones.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I took steroids and, there's still residual steroids in my system, so I can go back and be the heavyweight champion of the world in UFC. And when I get tested, I have these steroids in my system and it's okay. And I get treated differently than everybody else. But, this is so fucking dumb.
Just wait till you read the letters, Dan.
I think this is like Captain America. But he's not Captain America anymore. So what, is this the end of the book? It says the end right here. Does this mean they have no other issues? Because he's no longer...
He's, I don't, no. I mean, they continue, but...
So when does he get this super soldier serum back?
That I don't know.
They've got to give it back at some point, right? Because this is...
He starts to age all of a sudden. He doesn't.
Well, that too.
Yeah, yes, right.
That too. He's gonna rapid aging.
There's all sorts of stuff that I don't think Cap realizes that he needs the super soldier serum to continue on. So I mean, these are all
white. The little white wings are gonna be the Reed Richards gray.
Yeah, there's all these things that Cap. He's disregarding. He's like, and this whole hey, if I can't say no, who can? That
And maybe Hank could say something too.
actually,
not. I can't say if I can't just say no, who can? Yeah, I didn't even get to that. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Fuck Nancy Reagan. Jesus. Let me just get back to that. Episodes ago. But
don't you like your soda and your Twinkies and all the other stuff that came along with those books?
No.
Just
I don't like anything about those books.
They were all about making that.
Oh yeah. Well, they didn't make any money though. That was And by the way, if you would like to go back and read the Teen Titans crossover books, now posted on our feed and reposted in episode 303, 304, 305, titled Meet the Protector, The New Teen Drugs, and Protect Lion Shirt Boy.
Yeah.
You can go back and learn all about the Teen Titans drug issues endorsed with a letter from Nancy Reagan. So go back and listen to those. I've recently reposted those. I am actually slowly but surely getting the rest of our feed back up. So I've got our feed all the way back up to episode 300 posted. Of course, we have more. We got to go back all the way to 247. So we've got a few to post up. And of course, loyal listeners know that any episode before 247 has been lost to time forever.
Yep, time forever. I mean, all those audio cassettes that were, just not digitized yet, they're gone. They're gone. I mean, mold
I had to
is a
move
thing.
one too many times.
Yeah, I mean, we can't save everything. That's a sad reality.
I also just realized I have like 53 more episodes to repost. But
you can do it. We believe in you, Dan.
Yeah, if I do like 5 at a time, it's not so bad. So anyway, also just as a plug, we are now posting these episodes on YouTube as well. So if you look for Funny Book Forensics on YouTube, there's no pretty pictures of us, but you got our nice logo and you can hear it there in addition to listening to this on your favorite podcast player or anything else. So that's that. Well, that's the end of one story, but we're not done because Stan Lee presents Battlestar.
Yeah.
And Battlestar's not a fucking idiot. Well, that's not true. He has been for the last few issues. But
I mean, he was beaten by the power tools.
Oh, that's the guy. His name's the Power Broker. That's right, because he gave him his powers to begin with.
Yeah, the Power Broker.
Well, this one's called Grave Concerns. It's by Gruenwald, Bagley, Panosian, Robbins, and Yomtov. And he says, in one of the Power Broker's secret laboratories somewhere in Los Angeles, the 6-foot super fighter known as Battlestar has just undergone strength augmentation for the second time in his life. So Battlestar's like, yeah, give me the powers back. And he's now gone from... Now, again, I'd like to point out his powers went away, but they came back. So he must have different... It must not be a serum, right? It's just like a ray or...
I guess. Like, they just pumped it all back in. They juiced him back up.
He's looking big everywhere.
He is, man. They drew...
It pumped him up everywhere.
That suit is not hiding a thing.
That is not hiding. Johnny doesn't look like he has those augmentations, but no. Battlestar, wow. Was this drawn by Greg Fox? Nope. Okay. So,
what is that his Battlestar?
If you're a Kyle's B, if out there, friends, if you're a Kyle's B&B fan, you'll know what I'm talking about. Go check out Greg Fox's Patreon. Yeah. So, if you like the guys to be drawn like the women of comics, go check out Greg Fox's Patreon. But anyway,
he's got like a 12-pack. Damn.
He's got a 1-pack. Loaded.
It's something
locked and loaded. Well, anyway, the Power Broker's right. All right. Gave those powers back, and Battlestar is like, no way, Broker, not until all your kidnapping victims have been restored as like me. And U.S. agent lets Battlestar hold the shield, and he's all excited.
Wow, I got the shield.
And he goes out and he said, Johnny wouldn't have given up on his shield just to anybody. I guess my rap to him about our friendship a few days ago must have sunk in. I thought they weren't friends.
They weren't.
But they are.
They are.
Back in the lab, U.S. agent's being a badass. And he's like, and the Power Broker's like, look, agent, it's going to take a while for him to haul all those men in here. Since we're standing around with nothing to do in the meantime, why don't you let me go next? And he's like, because I said so. And they're like, okay, well, there we go. So these are 8-page stories, so they go quickly. Thank God. Okay. And now we get everybody back there, and we've got luchadors and zeppelins and All sorts of people getting their powers back. It's exciting. And then we get down and the power broker's left. And he says, for pity's sake, all the others have been treated. Now let my man de-augment me. And he said, gee, we'd like to, Jackson, but there's been a slight equipment malfunction. And he throws the shield at the augmentation machine, and it's destroyed. So there's no longer ways to augment. So basically, nobody can be augmented ever in the way the Battlestar was.
Nope. It's done. They're all fixed, and the broker is broken now.
Well, and then they go for a ride in the America Trans Am.
Yeah, it's a pretty sweet ride.
What do you think that car is called?
I don't know.
You know, if it was in DC Comics, it might be called, because it's a Firebird, I think.
Uh-huh.
So it would be called Star
Fire.
But yeah, well, anyway, Battlestar's like, Johnny, you're not going to still try to deny you're John Walker, are you? And he goes, John Walker is dead. I'm Jack Daniels, U.S. agent now. Was his name really Jack Daniels?
He's Jack Daniels.
Are you fucking kidding me? I didn't know that was his name. Well, I mean, honestly, when I was a kid, anytime I saw U.S. agent, I steered away from the book.
Did you?
Like, I just, there was no appeal to that character for me.
Oh, man. I like the U.S. agent books. I thought they were.
Well, and you read the later West Coast Avengers, or Avengers West Coast, and I read the early ones and had fallen off way before then. So
I just thought they were just interesting. It was interesting. He was like a 6-star Captain America.
Well, anyway, we get the end of the story. They're friends now, and he can't contact his sister and everything because that would blow his cover of being Jack Daniels, but still going around in the costume that everybody basically knows who he is. And anyway, they go to the grave, and now that the secret's out, they give each other a hug, and U.S. agent is going to go on with the rest of his life, and who knows, Battlestar is going to go on to great things. He's going to star in movies with the Avengers. He's going to have his own television show on Disney Plus, whatever. Like we're going to see a lot of Battlestar in the future.
We're going to see so much Battlestar. It's going to be unbelievable. You could say it's going to be Battlestar Galactica.
I do want to point out, you said I would get to be excited about the letters column, and the Ralph Machio editor and Michael Heisler, assistant editor, take credit for this. And from Faze Riemann, from Costa Plenta, Scrafra Road, Tendagar, Gwent, NP2-4EL England, says, I'm a relatively new reader of Captain America, and I would like for you to clarify something that has been bugging me. What is the difference between athletes boosting their strengths by using drugs and the super soldier serum that was injected into Steve Rogers in his origin? I know that Cap does not compete in sports, but surely he would be against that sort of thing anyway, like Ben Johnson. I would like to see a story where Cap is accused by a junkie of being the same as him, just like Hulk Hogan. So I'm sure you could come up with a great story. Whatever you do to Cap, I'll be there to see it. And they're like, yeah, we did that for you, buddy. We did it.
We did it. You got that story. It's right here in these 7 issues.
So thank God for you, Mr. Riemann, because maybe you inspired this terrible shit story that we just had to read. Thank you so fucking much.
I thought you would love that letter. That's like the perfect letter to just tie off this hefty sack.
Yeah, well, I don't know what we're doing next, but it's not going to be this.
Not this. I'm pretty sure you got something in the hopper. You got a book that came.
I've got some stuff in the hopper.
All right.
Well, I mean, probably next week. The day we're recording is the day after Keith Giffen died suddenly at age of 70. Apparently he had died before, but this time it was for real. And of course, Greg and I, me more than Greg, but Greg too, like I have more Keith Giffen books than I can count, with all my Legion stuff, all my Justice League stuff, even the Suicide Squad run where he killed off the entire Justice League Antarctica in one issue, except for you have a Blue Beetle, Jaime out right there.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy, and I went, last night I was very sad, and I went back and I watched a roast of Keith Giffen from one of the cons, and, everybody said, he's just a curmudgeon, but, there was no bad words about him, and but everybody says he's crazy. And of course, Legion fans accuse him of destroying everything and then rebuilding it. And my God, he really hated Karate Kid. He did not think super karate was a good superpower. He killed that character over and over and over again. But it's when you look at, somebody who's so creative, and it was one of the things that was really interesting. I was watching John Mark DeMatteis talk about Keith Giffen, and they were talking about the origination of the Justice League. And when Keith got the book, he would actually, he was an artist, right? So he would plot out the entire book, draw the whole thing, and dialogue it, but he wasn't confident enough in his own writing to do it. So they had John Mark come in and write the book. And I think it's amazing too. I think I'm sad, obviously, that somebody died, but I think there's something to that too. I want, everybody out there to think about in themselves, man. This guy that was so creative and so funny and had built all of this stuff, wasn't even confident enough. And he didn't for Legion 5 years later either. They had John and Mary Bierbaum do the dialogue. And this guy was so creative, was holding himself back to the just lack of confidence in his creative ability. And I think just for everybody out there, don't, right? I mean, think of the things we might be missing out from you because, you doubted it. And there's somebody that's so creative, still had that self-doubt. Well, I'm just an artist, right? Put themselves in that box, right? I'm just an artist. And that to me, it's inspiring, one, that he kept doing it and became, in some ways, more prominently known for his plotting and writing than his art, which is crazy with the level of art that he starts out with, And of course, if you don't know, he wrote the Great Darkness saga for Legion of Superheroes among tons of Legion books. And the 5 years later, he co-created Lobo. He co-created Rocket Raccoon. He wrote the Justice League Bahaha books, he did a whole bunch of Countdown for DC and came back to DC in the 2000s and did a ton of stuff. Co-created, of course, Jaime Reyes, Blue Beetle, and, just tons of stories. And that's one of the things, too. I think Keith Giffen is one of those folks, we've talked about other folks that have passed, but he's one of those folks that sort of transcended eras. A lot of people had their eras and they were sort of stuck in that era, but he drew and wrote in the Bronze Age and the Modern Age, and with great success. And so, and he would get sick of working and just stop for a while, and then they would bring him back. But it wasn't like, I don't want to pick on Neil Adams, but it wasn't like a Neil Adams wanting to fight the industry, so I'm going to quit, right, and do this my own way. This was more of just, he was a curmudgeon and he'd get tired. He drew this poster I have up in my office with all these Legion characters. He drew in 83 and he drew the poster. I think it was 82 or 83. And he was like, man, I don't want to draw Legion anymore after drawing this giant poster. So they went and got Steve Lytle from Marvel and brought Steve Lytle in to, draw the books instead. And he just drew the covers for a while. And it's just kind of amazing. But also, I think, too, know yourself, right? And know what your limits are. Yeah. So he's an example of limiting himself, but also an example of somebody who knew when to stop, right? Or knew when to pause so they could take a break and take a breather. And I don't know what your thoughts are, and this is a huge loss to the comic community, because not just a writer and an artist, but also somebody, that people would consult with, right, for their stories and get feedback. Yeah, no,
I don't think I can add to anything that you that you've said, because you hit everything. It's wow. Tremendous loss, and he was an amazing creator.
And for those of you that don't know, my gateway drug into comics as a kid was Legion of Superheroes 306, which Keith Giffen drew, and it was a spotlight story on Starboy. And you got to think about this book. It had Keith Giffen drawing the cover and the modern storyline, and they had the backup storyline telling Starboy's origin drawn by Kurt Swan. Just imagine, no wonder I got hooked. It wasn't the first comic book I read, right? But it was when I was old enough to appreciate comic books. And
yeah.
My mom grabbed that book off a spinner rack and brought it to me to get me to shut up on a camping trip. And my gateway drug into comic books, had no idea at the time, right, is freaking Keith Giffen and Kurt Swan art inside of a book.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No better way to get into it, though. I mean, just that's the way to do it.
Yeah, and Juliet is also very upset, so
yes,
you can see. But
I can hear.
Yeah, I mean, if that's your gateway into, well, it got me the piles and piles of comic books next to me. So, and it's one of those things too. Is I even as crazy stuff like Trencher, I would still try to grab everything he did. Because I just wanted to see where that crazy guy would go, even when he was drawing characters with weird shadows for faces and lines everywhere. It was like you knew you were going to get something unique, and he would try something new.
Yeah.
And the things he could do with characters that nobody else wanted to write.
Mm-hmm.
And boy did, well, you screwed up, Keith, because you wanted to kill everybody in your books, and well, it gotcha. But that's amazing creator. So we wanted to mention that on the show, of course, and pour one out for Mr. Giffen, because my fandom doesn't happen without him, and I'm sure that goes for a lot of other people too.
For sure.
And on that note, now I've pumped us all up with sadness. Greg,
no,
do you have things to plug?
You didn't pump us up with sadness. You pumped us up with the celebration, man. I got nothing to plug at the moment. Just to shout and say thanks so much to all the supporters of Supernatural Baby Detective. We're done with the run for issue 1 on the Kickstarter, so super excited and jacked about that. It's we'll be getting stuff out to folks as soon as we can. Surveys are out, so
nice.
Yeah,
I'm really excited for Kenrick, and it's really great that he gets to show his work to a whole new group of people. And glad it was sponsored. And that's the kind of thing we were just talking about, right? Here's somebody who is a great creator, took a risk, got his book out there, was stressing out a little bit there for a minute in the middle.
Oh yeah. And I mean, that's the thing that happens with Kickstarter sometimes, is you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how it's like you hit that wall sometimes, and it's very stressful. But people showed up. People came out. They wanted to support it. They saw it was a good book. And from the editorial pass that I did last night on the lettering and everything like that Star Kingston team did, I am very excited to say that yes, Richard Star Kingston knows what he's doing.
Well, and if you backed Kenrick, if you backed the book Supernatural Baby Detective, you can message Greg or I on Facebook or on Instagram or on Twitter, but message us and we will make sure that he includes a Funny Book Forensics sticker in your package. So if you reach out to us and let us know that you backed Supernatural Baby Detective, we will make sure you get a Funny Book Forensics sticker with our logo on it in your package. So reach out, let us know, and we'll take care of that for you. I we don't have any ongoing projects up right now to do, so we just want you to listen. Make sure you give us some feedback on what you'd like us to hear. We just finished up this. I'll have more. Probably, I'm just going to say next week's probably going to be a Keith Giffen book. So
as it should be.
It's probably going to be a couple of weeks. Even though we just did Keith Giffen books, though. So, we just did the Legion books. So.
Is there too much?
There's definitely not. Well, there's probably too much. But, there's probably too much Justice League Antarctica. You know what? We should do the Justice League Annual where they introduce Justice League Antarctica. I feel like that may be a book. Or we could do the Legion of Substitute Heroes special, Greg. So I'm going to let you choose either the Legion of Substitute Heroes special or the Justice League Antarctica book. Or maybe we do 2 weeks in a row and we do each one.
Okay, I think 2 weeks in a row we do each one would be fun, because I was gonna roll a dice and see if I could, because I got my dice bag out and I was like, all right, I'm gonna roll a dice and see what we get. But you know what? That I would, whatever I rolled, I would just say I want them both anyways. So
let's do it. So next week you won't be getting a word in edgewise because we are going to do the Legion of Substitute Heroes special.
Yes.
And I'll have nothing to say.
Nothing at all.
On the Legion book. Nothing at all. And the week after, let's do I forget which annual it is, but it was either an annual or a special. I think it was an annual, but that introduced the Justice League Antarctica. And they were headlined by one major disaster.
Oh, no.
And the Clue Master. And Big Sur.
Oh, man.
And Bruce. Don't forget Bruce.
Okay.
And I don't think it's their first appearance, because their first appearance was in the Kui 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 adventure.
Oh, boy.
If you don't remember the Kui 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 adventure, that was the island that moved, that Blue Beetle and Booster Gold tried to build a casino on. And it did not go so well. And when that island decided to move, that was not good for the casino.
I can imagine not.
But anyway, we'll bring something to you, at least with some of those folks. So we may even do 2 books next week, because we could do the DC Comics Presents Legion of Substitute Heroes teaming up with Superman, and then follow it up with the Legion of Substitute Heroes special #1.
Whoa. Dan. Whoa.
That's a lot of Legion of Substitute Heroes.
I don't know. Can they handle it? Can the listeners handle it?
Oh, the listeners can, but the Legion of Substitute Heroes, the subs, can never handle it.
I'm here for it, so bring it.
All right. Well, that's what we'll head up with then. Greg, don't let me forget. That's your job to not let me forget. And we've got that the next couple episodes, and hopefully you have a lot of fun with us. And let me tell you, if you thought these books were bad,
palate cleanser, right? These are good.
We are coming at you. Well, thanks for hanging in with us through the Streets of Poison. We will do this quick interlude of 2 weeks to honor Keith Giffen, and then another drug book, right? We gotta keep moving on.
Another drug book?
Yeah, we got to keep going through time. We made it to 1990. We can't just stop.
Oh yeah, I guess you're right. It's
2023.
Okay.
And after all, I am a completist.
So we gotta do something more mid-90s then.
Right, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fight drugs? I don't know.
Did they?
I don't think so, but I mean, it's possible. I didn't read those books. You did, but
I didn't. I mean, I read the later ones, not all of them. Every time I get them, I sell them.
Optimus Prime versus Drug Lords? I don't know.
Oh no, that's yeah. I think there's a G.I. Joe book.
It's probably a Just Say No book, which will just kill me. Just say no to just say no. Just say no.
Well, we'll find something.
Unless it's meth, and then we all agree. Just say no.
Just so you know, we'll find something.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say about these cat books is I think universally we are all against meth. So
yes. Yeah. Bad news. Fair. Yeah.
Not bad. Good. Unless you want to like clean the neighborhood all night long.
No. Not good.
So, well, thank you, dear listeners, for listening to this episode of Funny Book Forensics. I'm Dan, that's Greg, and he has a sound effect, and we're out of here.
I put it down.
You completely dropped the ball. Yep.
I know.
We're out. Bye.